And good morning, greetings, good afternoon, and good evening. You know, we always have people watching all over the place, hither and yon, from as far flung places as the UK and Australia. So it's nice to see you all. Welcome to the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. It is Wednesday. Can you believe this? March is almost over.
It's William Shatner's birthday.
It's insane. Wasn't that the 22nd? Well, this month. Yeah.
No, I thought it was the 30th. Have I gotten
Let's
his birthday wrong? That's bad.
let's see. Well, you know, as a matter of fact, let's look it up. We better gotta get it right. March
Uh-oh.
22nd, 1931. March 22nd. Happy 91st birthday to Captain James T. Kirk,
Unbelievable.
otherwise known as William Shatner. It's the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. I'm your guy for today, your host, Glen Henderson. And you know what? Let's get the housekeeping stuff out of the way right quick, if it's all right with you. Kind of a light day today, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Books for Britain with our good friend Mandy Anderson. And that's about it for today. Although I imagine there are always side conversations taking place among us as members of the mastermind. So there's that. There will be, just as a notification, no session of networking magic this evening. However, next Wednesday, the 6th of April, we'll be back with you. And we'll have a semi-major announcement to make. Some travel plans I've got in mind. So we'll let you know all about that. Speaking of announcements, if you happen to be free this coming Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, this Saturday, you're going to get the chance to see a really phenomenal, very exciting interview, something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. You know that I host a TV show on Fridays called Networking Now. You can see it on, you can see it online at nowmedia.tv. You can see it on YouTube. Look for Now Media TV and grab Now Media TV wherever you, and look for Networking Now. Look for the show Networking Now wherever you grab your podcasts. So this Friday, on Fridays we record the show and then it airs on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on those different sources. And this Friday I am doing an interview. I'm so excited. You know the book, right?
Yes.
You've heard about this book by some guy, Henderson?
Yep.
Yes. Well, here's what's going on. Let me see if I can I just want to bring up a quick picture for you, if that's all right with you. This week, I am interviewing, I can't stand it. I'm so bloody excited about this. I am interviewing, yeah, there it is. Got it all set. I'm going to share this screen with you. I am interviewing my publisher, Suzanne Doyle Ingram. She lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and she's a phenomenal writer. She herself has written and co-written over 20 books now, and she's helped hundreds of other people to publish. She's got a book, she's got a training course that she does, a webinar called Why Everybody Has a Book and You Don't. Does it sometimes feel like that? And, well, anyway, that's one of the things that Suzanne and I will be talking about. And of course, you know, we'll be happily reviewing my own journey as an author, as a now published author. We'll be talking about Suzanne, about her career and how she got started, what she does, and how she helps new and even experienced authors to perfect their craft. So I am excited. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be fanboying all over Suzanne this week on the show. So if you've got a minute, if you've got some time, wherever you, like I say, networking now wherever you grab your podcasts, nowmedia.tv. It'll be airing this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, along with some other guests and things that we do, talking with mostly local Houston. Well, look at that. The sun is out. It was like slamming rain 20 minutes ago. Nice. Anyway, we interview on the show. We interview local business leaders, entrepreneurs here in Houston to talk about their careers and their work and how they are using the power of connections, networking, relationships to grow their business and their life. That's what we do. I love it. It's what I live for, as you know. And so we have lots of fun. I am so excited to talk with Suzanne this week. So who's with us? Linda. Nice to see you. And Daisy. I'm guessing that Linda and Daisy and Edward are kind of sneaking in off their job to catch us for a few minutes. And we really appreciate having you here with us. Bob and Missy. Well, where's Bob anyway?
Bob's at the day job.
Correct.
Bob's at the day gig. Bob's working the street job today. Nice. And Kat. Never miss a moment with Kat. Good to see you. Indeed, indeed. So I was mentioning to Kat, and I think you may have heard it as well, Missy, as we were getting started today. I was doing something which just before we got on this call, I was doing something which I almost never do because it's just not me, you know. People have habits and things that they enjoy doing, things that kind of come naturally to them. I mean, I was doing something that I basically never do in my everyday life. I was watching an episode of Star Trek. I just don't. It's so strange for me to. Anyway, I was checking out an episode of Trek, and so the episode was called, it was The Next Generation. Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Riker, and hey, listen, I wrote about those guys too, so leave me alone. The episode was called Disaster, and it has to do with a moment in time when the USS Enterprise is struck by a devastating, naturally occurring thing in the universe. The ship is heavily damaged, and the rest of the episode concerns the crew's efforts to recover, repair the ship, and save as many lives as possible. All right? It reminded me of something. Pretty good episode, I thought. It's a funny thing about the episode. It's one of those episodes that very clearly highlights Captain Picard's extreme discomfort in the presence of a certain species of organisms. Captain Picard is extremely uncomfortable, as you may know, in the presence of children. And this particular episode, highlights that to, I think, quite amusing effect. Anyway, you'll have to watch the episode and see. The reason I bring it up is because I wanted you to know the effort that was required for me to push myself to perform this highly unusual activity. It's something, that's what I say, it's something I'm just not used to watching Star Trek episodes. It's just not something I generally, and it's also, as the saying goes, death before decaf. I was also reminded of two disastrous events that have taken place in the lives of people I know over the past years. And I was kind of motivated or compelled to sort of review what was done, what happened, how the incidents were handled, how people handled themselves, and I don't know, maybe we'll see if there's a lesson in there somewhere. The first one that comes to my mind happened very, very recently with a friend of mine here in Houston. It involved a friend of mine who Well, I will keep the names under my hat to protect confidentiality, as you can imagine. A good friend of mine here in Houston was recently arrested at her job in the middle of the workday and accused of what would be an absolutely horrific crime if it were true. I can tell you that she's a single mother and she was accused of abusing and abandoning her children. Now, I happen to know for a fact, because I know her and I've met her children, that her children are healthy and well cared for. So everything that was alleged against her was total crap. How that came to be, let's just say that for very nefarious reasons, someone very close to her decided to level completely false accusations against her. Called the police, called Child Protective Services against her, accused her of these things. She was arrested. She was thrown in jail in holding cell, and even as attempts were being made to post bond for her to get her out of jail so that she could get to work, do what she needed to do to resolve this situation, at precisely the moment she was supposed to be released, the county's computer system went down. And because the people in the system, the people who work in the system, are completely unaccustomed to doing any kind of work that where they're not dependent on the computer, they don't know how to write things down on paper. You see, so she was stuck in jail for 3 extra days when she didn't have to be there. She finally got out, and by the way, how I came to be involved in all of this is, as I said, we're friends. As a matter of fact, we worked together in one of my business ventures, and I took a quite active role in helping her to get out of jail and helping her to navigate certain aspects of the system. So there's that. How this has shaken out so far as of today is that she was appointed an attorney, and the attorney asked her, well, tell me what's going on, tell me about the situation. And it so happens that my friend had records, photographic records, recordings of phone calls, copies of text messages between her and her children and everything, confirming beyond doubt that her children were perfectly healthy, safe, and well cared for. And the lawyer looked at this evidence and said, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? And her attorney went on the warpath and called out the concerned persons within the district attorney's office here in Harris County. And as a result of that, it's looking right now, things can happen at the last, who knows what might happen at the last minute, but it's looking right now as if every last one of the charges against her is about to be summarily dismissed. That was extremely gratifying news when she called me and let me know, boy, Glenn, I had a big win in court yesterday. We've still got to go through the paperwork and all that, but it looks like everything's going to be cleared up. I was very happy about it because I know the type of person that she is, and I know how much she cares for her children and so forth. See, in my mind, the very idea that someone would consider making these kind of accusations against her is utterly ridiculous. But I do think that in time, the perpetrators of this miscarriage of justice against her, this travesty of justice, and their motives will be exposed and justice will be served. I am confident that justice will in the end be served. So there's that. Why was this so gratifying to me? Because, partly because she's my friend, and you hate to see friends get in trouble. So as soon as, also, as soon as I heard about this, this is ridiculous. I called her up, what can I do to help? She called me and let me know at the beginning what was going on. And I said, oh my God, how can I help? What do you need? It was never a thought in my mind that any of this might have been true that was alleged against her. And here was the really interesting thing. I told Paula about this. As soon as I heard about it, I told Paula, that, listen, my friend is in trouble. I'm going to court to, see the bail bond agent and everything else to help her out. And I said, I just wanted you to know, honey, so that you're not wondering if something strange comes in the mail or whatever, that, I'm doing this because, she's my friend. And, Paula said, honey, yeah, I know that's true, but you're not really doing it because she's your friend. I'm not? No, she says, I know you. You're doing what you're doing because it's the right thing to do. Can't argue with that. That was a big reason why I decided to get so heavily involved. Injustice offends me. Wherever, and I'm not going, and I'm not, it's not my intention to take this into any kind of social or political debate of any kind. I'll simply say injustice offends me. In this case, a friend was being done an injustice. I was offended, so I took action to help correct the injustice. Simple as that. And it reminded me of another incident that took place many years ago. And it involved, I don't think I've ever told you this story before. It involved yours truly. I was working at a certain company in the state of New Jersey while I was living there. And I was out on a business trip, a training trip for the company, 3 weeks in another city. And, excuse me, I was out, we were all out on the corporate expense account, charging everything to the company card, so that all the expense reports would be easy to do. There was one night. Now, I had been on this job maybe 6 months, something like that. But I've worked in other places and so forth. So I had a little bit of corporate experience, you could say. There was one night where a group of us, who were all out on the training trip from different locations of this same company, were out for dinner together. We went and had a nice meal. No, there was no filet mignon. There was no champagne on the menu. Basic dinner, basic business dinner. The bill came. It was $127. I remember exactly how much the tab was, because that's significant. There were 6 of us at this dinner, and the tab was $127. So not that big a deal, right? $20, $30 a piece, plus a tip. It turned out that at that time, the restaurant, they couldn't issue separate checks for whatever reason. So we're kind of looking at each other. There's an awkward moment. And I said, okay, look, I'll tell you what. I'll put it on my card. You guys give me the cash. I'll document everything on my expense report. Shouldn't be a problem. So that's what happened. And I lived on that cash for a few days after that. You see? So not so that I wasn't being seen as double dipping. You with me so far? So I got back from the trip and I handed in my expense reports. And I think a day or 2 days later, my direct manager said that, his superior, the director of the whole office there, wanted to see me. Okay. And I walk into this lady's office, and she says, Glenn, you've been stealing from the company. I'm sorry, what? What exactly are you talking about? You falsified expense reports. I did. can you show me where I did that? And she cited this meal. She also cited the fact that during this 3-week business trip, I had some laundry done at a local laundromat and charged it to the company. $30 or whatever, $30, $40. You had no right to do that. I didn't. I'm sorry. What would you suggest I should have done? You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have charged it. You should have paid for that out of your own pocket. Really? Okay. Well, I'm terribly sorry. I'm happy to reimburse the company. I'm happy to pay whichever of these items you feel is inappropriate. I'll let you know. Okay? So I went to my direct boss and I said, hey, can you help me out with this? What do I need to do? How do I correct this? You know what he said to me? He said, sorry, Glenn, I'm not going to back you up on this one. You're on your own. Oh. Well, gee, thanks. Really appreciate it. Then about a day later, I was called back into this super director's office, and she said, Glenn, I've decided that you have been embezzling from the company. You're fired. I can laugh about it now. I was outraged at the time. I did maintain, I kept control of my emotions, and I said to her, all right, you'll be hearing from my attorney. And I dropped my ID card and I walked out. I went to a church where I was living at the time, where I was attending. Where my wife and I were attending a church, and there were several attorneys in the congregation, in the membership, along with one gentleman who was a very, very experienced senior and mature corporate executive. Told him the situation. He says, well, Glenn, that's certainly not right. He says, I've had people submit expense to me for years with those types of things and never been a problem. I said, okay, well, what do you think I should do? He says, very simple. Get a computer. I did not actually own a computer at home at the time. He said, get a computer. And as a matter of fact, he says, I'll loan you a computer. I've got a spare. He says, I want you to sit down and type out a chronological account of everything that happened around this around this business trip, from the day you left until the day you were fired. Every single thing that happened, every conversation, include copies of the expense reports, include copies of all the people who were at the dinner, all the people who were on that trip with you from the other locations and everything else. Every single thing you can think of, and get the expense reports right down to the penny. Fortunately, I had made copies of all the paperwork involved and had it with me at home. So I went through this process. It took me probably about a week to sit and scour my memory for every single thing. And I called a few people and said, you were there yeah, man. What, Glenn, they fired you? Come on, man, that's bull. You know what I mean? So I had that kind of little support from people. Took me about a week. And once I had this report all put together, which, by the way, ended up being about 50 pages of material. Because I have been blessed with a pretty good memory. So I was able to quote conversations, particularly conversations with my manager and with this director, almost verbatim, just about verbatim. So I submitted all of this, and he said, my friend who was coaching me in this, he says, okay, what you got to do is find out who is the vice president of HR. This is a major multinational corporation. If I mentioned the name of the company, you'd know it. So I found out who that was, and who his, assistant, the whole thing. And I found out who was the vice president for the particular division of the company where I was working. And I sent them both a copy of my report with all the accompanying documentation. I was out of work for probably about 6 months around this. So I went back and forth and forth and back. I sent this, and during all this time, I'm preparing the reports and everything else. So 6 months, maybe 6 months. No, 6 months. Let's call it 6 months. So I sent these letters to these people, these executive persons, and about a week, maybe 10 days after I sent the letter, I got a phone call. Hello, Glenn, this is so-and-so, vice president or blah, blah, blah. I have your report in my hand. I said, yes. He says, and I understand that you also sent the report to the HR person. Yes. We're flying down to meet with you day after tomorrow. We want to know what's going on. We want to find out what's going on here. I said, okay. Looking forward to meeting with you. Now, I went back to my friend, the corporate CEO, and he said the most important thing that's going to happen in this meeting, Glenn, is this VP, this senior executive vice president, whatever it was, he's going to ask you a question. He's going to ask you, why do you think this woman fired you? Why do you think this happened? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. He said, that is the perfect answer to give. Because if you say, well, by the way, little background, just in case nobody has made you aware yet, I'm black. So there's that. And as you might imagine, the woman who fired me is white. And he said, if you say anything else, if you say that you think it was a racial thing or whatever, then you will brand yourself as a malcontent or as a troublemaker, and they will feel justified in leaving you fired. Okay. So the point was to make it clear that I thought this was simply a clear injustice. There's that word again. Injustice. So the time came, the meeting, these two gentlemen flew in from the global headquarters of this company, flew into New Jersey, met with me in an office in a neutral location. We did not meet in the offices, the company offices there. We met in like some attorney's office or wherever. And we had this meeting, and these guys grilled me for about 3 hours. They asked me about every aspect. They asked me who was on the trip with me. Where did you stay? What was on the menu for this big dinner? Who was with you? How have you spoken to since? And blah, blah, blah. And I could tell that some of the questions were them just seeking information. And I could tell that other of the questions were designed basically to see how I would answer, to see what I would say. Would I take it down? Would I take the conversation down some political path to a political agenda or something? And it was funny. I think the last question the gentleman asked me in this 3-hour essentially deposition, I think the very last question he asked me was, Glenn, we've talked about a lot of different things. You've given us a great deal of detail on this, and we appreciate it. He says, I just have one more question for you. One final question for you. Yes? Why do you think this happened? Why do you think so-and-so, the director, fired you? His name was Jim. His first name was Jim. I'll just say that much. When he asked that question, I had all I could do to keep myself from busting out into a great big grin, because I knew the question was coming, and I was prepared for it. My friend had prepared me for it. So I paused for a second. I, took a deep breath, paused for a second, and I said, Jim, I have no idea. There was a pause in the room, and he said, okay, give me a few days. I'm going to think this over and get back to you. I'm going to review everything I've heard, and I'll get back to you. It was about a week. you can imagine how I was feeling during that week, waiting for him to get back to me. And the phone finally rang. I picked up. Hello, Glen? Glen Henderson? Yes. This is Jim, blah, blah, blah. Yes. I've reviewed the whole case from all sides, and I'm calling to let you know that we are offering you your job back. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Pause. He says, and by the way, given the fact that this relationship with this director is obviously burned, we're going to transfer you to a new location. We had to move from New Jersey to a different state. Okay, had a job. You go where the work is, right? You go where the job is. We're transferring you to a new place. Here's the job. It's good. It's basically a lateral move. Fine. He says we're reinstating you at your previous salary, and we're giving you 6 months back pay for the lost employment time. Oh, I tell you, there was much rejoicing. Now, why did I share both of these stories with us today? Because a couple of things. I think I'm of the opinion that if we are to be business leaders, entrepreneurs, community leaders of integrity, people of influence within our social and business circles, I believe we need to have the attitude that injustice offends us. Now, again, I'm speaking strictly from a business point of view, and I'm speaking from my own perspective. However you decide into whatever arena we decided to take, that is entirely up to each of us as individuals. I do think that in a business context, and in the context of my friend in a legal context, if it is clear to me that an injustice is being done, that offends me, and I'm probably going to say something. Do what I can to help correct the injustice. The other reason that I mention it is, in both cases, I was a little bit concerned somewhat concerned about the possible effect on me. For example, what if I were to step in and help my friend here in Houston, and it turned out that these charges were true, and I'm standing up for her, defending her? How's that going to make me look? As it turns out, as I said before, I was and am supremely confident, based on my own experience, my firsthand knowledge, that she's innocent of everything of which she's been accused. Kat has a plaque on the wall over her shoulder, which I noticed that as we started the call today. It may be that for you to stand and support someone whom you feel is being treated unfairly may cost you something. It may make you nervous. There may be some fear involved in taking a stand like that, not necessarily a public stand, but taking a stand that might put you in confrontation with corporate leadership, with government entities, whatever it might be. But that plaque behind Kat is interesting in this context. Says, it's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Do the thing you fear." What does it say? "Do the thing you are afraid to do, and the death of fear is certain." Do the thing you fear. Take a stand. Do the right thing. Tell the truth. We're back to this again. Chapter 6. the book. The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth. I knew the truth regarding my friend. I knew the truth regarding my own situation. I knew that I had done nothing wrong. And even if I had not gotten my job back, I would have walked away and gone on to another job with my head held high. Why? Because I knew the truth. And if you know the truth, if you know that someone is being treated unjustly, if you know that there is injustice about which you can do something, then I say, as our British friends would say, Mandy, what's the saying, Mandy? Screw your courage to the sticking place and take a stand. Take a stand. Why? Because he's your friend? Because she's your business partner? Maybe. Take a stand because it's the right thing to do. My friend, by the way, is doing well, got a new job, and things are on the upswing in her life, and I'm very, very happy to see it. So there it is. There's my thought for today. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. What was the name of John's book? Even better than mine. Integrity is everything. You know what? Maybe that'll be the title of today's talk. Well, we'll figure it out. You'll see it. I'll get it posted at some point. What do you think? What's your idea? Please jump on up, throw a hand up, unmute yourself. I'd love to hear what you think about this because let's just say these are interesting times we're living in these days. And there may be occasions where you might feel it's time for you to take a stand. Wait a minute. It's Missy. How do you do, ma'am?
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Injustice is my trigger. That it's always been since I'm a kid because I've had injustices done to me. But I will say, and I would welcome some advice other than the words calm down. I have gone about this standing up for myself or others, but I've done the right thing in the wrong way because of my temperament.
The wrong way.
I've done the right thing, but in the wrong way. If you don't, you remained calm with your bosses. So my thing is like to
pound the table.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. It's a little too much Italian, and I am trying to overcome because that's more of an instinct for me then. So I need more mastery on that.
That's a good one. That's a really good point. Do the right thing, doing the right thing, but in what you feel is the wrong way.
If it's in the wrong way, you may not be able to help. If you're going charging into the judge, for your friend.
Yeah. And you lose the narrative because you lost your temper.
Exactly.
That kind of
Thank
thing.
you.
Okay. And any thoughts on it? Your hand jumped right up there, Mandy. Did you want to make it's a different. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, Missy, you said that you mentioned that I remained calm during this situation. I can assure you.
Outwardly.
It was not always so with me.
Oh, okay.
There were times when I would pound the table and start yelling and cursing people out and screaming and because I just knew that this was wrong and I knew that I was in the right and I knew that my friend was innocent and like, how could you do this? How dare you do this? And it can be really easy, too easy to lose my composure. What I had to do, and this is just me, what I had to do was, this is going to sound so corny, so ridiculous, but it worked for me. I actually took some time and looked back on some of the incidents in my life where that took place, where I lost the narrative because I lost my temper. And I had to apply a dollop of Vulcan logic. That is, in this case, Okay. The fact is that this is wrong, what's being done. The fact is that the allegations against my friend are incorrect. She did not do this thing of which she was accused. And I know that. And she, but here's the follow-up question. If I'm going to take a stand on this and take action in her behalf, it could very well get heated. This could very well turn into a big controversy. And if it does, what good will it do for me to lose my temper? How will pounding the table serve me? How will pounding the table serve my friend? And taking it even further, if I do lose my temper, if I do start shouting and pounding the table, what's likely to happen? In the case of my friend, what was most likely to happen is I'd probably get arrested, which would do no one any good because now I'd have my own legal troubles. So, what do I need to do instead of that? Because you see, it's the old thing. The only way to get rid of a bad habit, as a matter of fact, it's impossible to get rid of a bad habit. What?
Replace it.
The only way to get rid of a bad habit is to replace it with a good habit, a helpful habit, one that serves us. So for me, it took a long time and a lot of work. I learned how to replace the habit of losing my temper with the habit of looking at the situation logically. What is the most reasonable, most effective thing to do in this situation? Well, the most effective thing to do in this situation with my friend was, first of all, get her the fuck out of jail. And the second most effective thing to do would be to see to it that she secured effective and zealous counsel. Help her find a good lawyer. Now, fortunately, I didn't have to do that because, she had other sources. She was able, in fact, the lawyer that the court appointed to her was absolutely fabulous and is the one that's going to get the charges tossed out. But it had to be, for me, a dispassionate evaluation of the facts and the sequence in the situation. And at every point where I feel myself, you know that feeling? Take a breath, pause, and ask the question again. What is the logical thing to do right now? Is the logical thing to do to lose my temper and start yelling? How will that serve the cause of justice? So, so I'm going on. I'm going to stop before I begin repeating myself, but you kind of get my idea. For me, it was a deliberate process of replacing emotion with logic. I had to, otherwise I probably would have got myself arrested. And I certainly would not have gotten my job back if I'd been in that woman's office screaming, "You racist! Oh, I can't believe it! Oh, I'm gonna get you!" Right? Not only would I have not gotten my job back, might very well have lost my freedom. That was just me. I think a lot more people, many people could benefit from the application of a bit of Vulcan logic. What do you think?
Well, that reminds me very much, as soon as you said that, of the episode, The Empath. I know nobody cares about this except you and me.
Oh, yes.
They've got them in a force field, and Kirk is like, "I'm going to go down him." And Spock says, "Captain, you are."
Chapter 4. The more you resist,
Exactly.
the stronger the force field.
There we go. So that is, I really
Yes.
appreciate this. Thank you very much. It's just sometimes just a few words lay it out for you, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mandy Anderson, our good friend. How are you? What's happening, ma'am?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Like you and Missy, injustice has been something that I it makes me really angry and really, but I can control the anger to a degree, and it reminds me of something a couple of years ago. Because I was even getting angry when you were saying what was happening to you just now. Like, they're going to do that, but it comes back to, of course, it's not quite as bad as what you had, but I used to run a team of people which all happened to be guys, and in this very female-oriented education establishment. And they had got a bit of reputation for being difficult, but they weren't. They were just, they cared about their work. And one of them was an exams officer. And he was really, really good at his job. And it was very complicated, and people didn't really understand or recognize how complicated it was. And they decided to do a review of the exam side of things. And instead of giving it to me, they gave it to this other lady, the curriculum manager. So I was the MIS. Because I think he felt she had more time, but also they were like buddying up. It was a bit toxic at the time. So he gave it to her, and she knew nothing about how the exams thing worked. So the guy that worked for me was getting quite hit up about it. And I said, look, we're going to sort it out. We can't stop them doing the review. When the review comes back, we'll look at it, we'll go through it. And the review came back, and she was doing what he would need to do for his job, which wouldn't work. And it was just so incorrect. But she was going to go with it. And so a meeting was held between the curriculum team and me and him, and to go through it, to run through what she decided to do. And I said to him beforehand, look, we're just going to go in. We're going to just take it as it comes. But I knew that he was quite up for not necessarily keeping his anger under control. So I said to him, if you do decide to go out of the room and you want to go home, go home. I have no problem with it at all. Just get out of the building if it's that much for you. So we went to the meeting, and she started off, and she was like, this is what we're going to do. And this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And I think he lasted 10 minutes before he said, so this is just a done deal, is it? We're not going to change anything. And she said, yes, this is a done deal. He stood up and he said, well, if you think that's what this job entails, then you can have it. He said, I'm leaving. Walked out. None of the other people in the room had any idea that this was going like this, and that she was doing something she shouldn't have been doing. I stayed there, I stayed calm, and I just spoke with the rest of them. I just said, see, that's where it's going to lead you. I won't say her name. And with the other people in the room, they said, how can we sort this? And I said, we need to go through it, because what you've got will not work for the exams team. And that's what we did. And in the end, the lady just had to sit there and show that she didn't really know what she was doing. We went through it, and we changed it to the bits that would work for us. And he did come back, but to me, you see, it was so against him that to me it was an injustice, because she was trying to put something in place that would never ever work, and it was his job, and it wasn't really her responsibility to be doing that. But you're dead right; it's not always easy to like take a breath, and whatever happens, you just have to keep that breath, don't you? Because it's not going to go in your favor.
You know, that's again a calm, methodical, logical approach to resolving the situation. You know, she had no idea that in that case 1 + 1 was going to equal the 2 of him leaving. And once she saw it unfold right before her, without anyone having said anything, maybe it then occurred to her, well, now wait a minute, you know, maybe I need to look at this differently. This also comes to into the realm of personal relationships. You just said it, Missy, in the comments. Thank God Bob is always calm in hot moments. Paula is the smartest person I know. It's genius level IQ. And she calls me the logical one in our relationship, in our marriage. Why? Well, probably because I watch lots of Star Trek. And I have seen logic, I've seen calm, logical thinking resolve more than one situation, not just on TV, but in life. And how many marriages might have been saved if someone had paused to take a breath and think, well, wait a minute, what are we in this thing for in the first place? Let's work on that. Let's preserve our intimacy. Let's preserve our relationship. Yeah, resolve the problem, but the more important thing is to preserve our connection, our team, our relationship. I was reminded of this, and we're getting sort of to the top of the hour here, so if there's any other thoughts that may be passing through someone's mind on this, please feel free. Put your hand up, jump in. But I was about to wrap up with this. I'm also a big fan, in addition to Star Trek, I'm also a big fan of a TV show called Criminal Minds. You know, they always have a profound quote at the beginning and the end of each episode. There was one episode that I saw recently where the profound quote at the end makes mention of this and suggests a way that we might resolve some of these personal issues at the very least. It says, mankind must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. Martin Luther King. Well, you know, how much does that work in a business context? How would that work in a business? Well, you might be surprised. What's the point of us being here in this business, in this company? We have a cause or some goal or some mission that we're carrying out as a company, as a team. What's the best way to get that done? In this particular situation, what's the best series of actions to take that will serve that goal? Love? Okay. Logic. Logic always works, in my opinion. Logic always works in tough corporate spots because, you know, people, you know, they don't like each other sometimes. Maybe we don't get along personally, but who in their right mind can argue with logic, with common sense, with what's reasonable, the reasonable thing to do? And yeah, so here, back to the first point. Take the stand, you, Mandy, and Missy, and all of us were faced with a situation where you were aware that someone was being mistreated. An injustice was being done. You took a stand because it was the right thing to do, which is always the right thing to do. I would be really interested in, as we go forward in our future here together, to hear about some situation where this has been true for you. I can't tell you the elation, the relief when I got the call from my friend here in town to say, hey, you know what? This is going to work out. I'm going to be okay. Fantastic stuff. My friends, it's been a really interesting, pretty deep conversation, hey? Some things. I hope, Miss V, that we were able to make a suggestion or a thought or two that might be helpful, might be of some value to you. Excellent. Well, we shall see you later on today, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time, Books for Britain. What book are we covering right now, Mandy? Again?
We're doing the 4 tendencies.
The 4 tendencies. Well, be ready. 3:15 Eastern Time. That is what? 8:15 UK?
8:15, yeah.
8:15 UK time. Thank you all so much for spending a few minutes with us. Glad to see you. Mandy and Cat Daisy, Edward, Linda, Missy. Say hi to Bob for us. Make it a great day, y'all. We'll see you very soon. Bye for now.